Thank you so much for returning to the show, Roger.
Oh, was that it?
Oh, yeah, that was our starting point. Yeah. Okay, let me do it again. Ready? So it looks really authentic. All right. Thank you so much for returning to the show, Roger.
You couldn't be more welcome. Welcome,
Thank
Katie.
you. We are here to talk about your concert in Frankfurt, Germany, which has, as of now, been canceled. But tell us the latest of some people whose hearts and minds seem to be changing.
Well, what I've heard recently, I heard from a German friend who visited us a couple of days ago in Amsterdam, that somebody in the Green Party, who a week ago was part of the coalition in Frankfurt, trying to have my show there cancelled. In fact, they cancelled it.
It's already canceled. It's canceled.
Blah, 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 blah. Has suddenly changed her mind miraculously. It's interesting that people can change their minds about things like this, that it's a sort of movable target, obviously. And I think if the target bites back, like I'm biting back, and I am bloody well biting back, maybe sometimes some of them have second thoughts. Will they actually bother to find out if what they're saying is even faintly anywhere near the truth of anything? And clearly, the whole thing was them cancelling my concert because they claim I'm an anti-Semite, which I'm obviously not. And this conversation has been going on for donkeys years. I was interested to note the other day that my old, what is he? He's not a colleague exactly. He's somebody I've crossed swords with from time to time over the last 15 years or so. Abe Foxman of the Anti-Defamation League. Who's now come out and criticized the Israeli government himself and said that the ADL can no longer support them in their policy things. But all those years ago, when they first decided that I was definitely an anti-Semite, the Anti-Defamation League looked into it and said that on the face of it, given the theatrical circumstances, putting a Star of David on a pig for a few shows in a satirical sketch in the middle of a rock and roll show is not in itself anti-Semitic. But obviously the anti-Semitism that these people who cancelled my show are talking about is my continual, incessant criticism of the government of the state of Israel. Has nothing to do with Jewish people or the Jewish religion or anything. And that's what it is. And that's why I'm so happy to be in the ring with these arseholes arguing the toss. I've been desperate for somebody to do something where I could get into at least being able to have a say about it. And so the kind Frankfurters of Frankfurt have done that. And I'm actually really pleased. We served a writ, an injunction. We demanded an injunction from a court 3 days ago, and they have until this Friday to respond to it. So it remains to be seen whether they're going to try and find a comfortable way to slide out, which they might be able to do because they've just had an election and there's a new mayor. So the new mayor could always backslide and then blame it on the previous mayor. Right. It wasn't something to do with me. You know, it was all of them. Well, it's not. It's been an ongoing thing for years. But last time I toured Germany was in 2018, and nobody would speak to me at all. There was one guy from Süddeutsche Zeitung, which is, I think it's a weekly magazine based in Munich. And he did print a conversation that he had with me to no great avail because he was absolutely set in his belief that Israel can do no wrong and that if you criticize them, you cannot be heard in Germany because they feel so guilty about 1933 to 1945 that they can't actually have a conversation about it. Interestingly now, this is forcing them to have a conversation about it. Right. And the fact that the Israeli government is behaving so disgustingly and appallingly right now is probably helpful to my cause and to the cause of free speech in Germany. It may free Germany from criminalizing BDS, for instance, which is something that the Bundestag did 3 years ago or 2 years ago in 1921, or they recommended the making of boycott, divestment, and sanctions illegal. So I don't know what else to say, really, except that I am gung ho. It's like 51 days now till the gig in France, and I'm trying to post as often as I can. Here we come. We are on the road to Frankfurt, and nothing will stop us. Unless, of course, it's that they decide that Germany should be a fascist state all over again, and they shouldn't allow human rights or free speech or anything to people like me, humble troubadours on the road to spreading peace and love all over Central Europe, which is obviously what I'm trying. It is. I'm not joking. I mean, I'm joking, obviously, because I know you like a joke and I adore you and I want to keep you happy and cheerful. But how cool is it that we have this platform now?
Yeah. And so what if, let's say they cancel it? I mean, if they maintain the cancellation, what are you going to do in Frankfurt? Are you going to do is there an alternative venue, or are you going to do an outside concert?
At the moment, I have no alternative plan.
There is no alternative. This is not a drill.
Exactly. I believe that we are going to win this conversation with the others, because they have every opportunity to say whatever they want and do what. I mean, in the document that they produced, they brought up the 3,000 Jewish men who were rounded up and kept in the Festhalle, which is the venue for this thing, on Kristallnacht in 1938, which we don't remember, but we know all about it because we read books and we study history and we know what happened. But trying to lay the appalling story of those 3,000 men who were all murdered, obviously, taken away and killed by the Nazis in 1930. But to try and lay that at my door, or to say I shouldn't be allowed to perform my songs in the Festhalle in Frankfurt because of what Goebbels and Adolf Hitler and the rest of them did in 1930 is so clearly absurd and beyond any connection at all. By the way, before I go any further, Katie Halper, thank you so much for starting the petition, which I think we're somewhere in the low 30s now, but not many of my Arab friends have joined in yet. So we could get, who knows where that could.
We definitely can get more. Well, we should push that. Great.
Thank you.
Yeah, and some really big, people have signed, and Tom Morello, Ken Loach, Susan Sarandon, Cornel West, Brian Eno, Peter Gabriel. I'm just looking at the list right now. Medea Benjamin, Beth Miller from Jewish Voice for Peace, UK Palestine artists.
Angela Davis.
No, we have to ask. You got to ask Angela. We haven't gotten her.
Oh, please.
I don't have her contact info, so you may have to ask her.
Told Noam Chomsky has signed, and
Noam Chomsky did sign. Yeah, we got him. Yeah, but it's interesting what you just said about how they're putting this Kristallnacht at your feet as if you had something to do with that, or as if you condone anti-Semitism. And I think it's so ironic. I didn't realize this until I was doing a live stream on my show. And someone wrote in the comments that your dad died fighting Nazis.
That is true, yeah. He died at Anzio. Well, near Anzio.
And the irony of Germans telling you that you're an anti-Semite when your father literally gave his life in the fight against Nazism.
Yeah, it is ironic.
And they make, the people paying for their crimes are Palestinians.
Absolutely. Well, I'm glad you brought that up. The fact of the matter is that the Israeli government, the apartheid state who is perpetrating all the crimes on the Palestinian people, have nothing to stand on. They have no platform. And this is what the Germans find so uncomfortable about it, I think, that it is so reminiscent of what happened in those years that I mentioned between 33 and 45, that it must. I mean, I can't imagine what it must be, but what it must be like to actually be supporting a regime that is behaving in a very similar way to that hugely racist endeavor that was Nazi Germany. Must be. I can understand. I think why they find it difficult to keep their eye on the ball and focus on the question. The question is very simple. It's a very simple question. I've said it again and again. I say it again to the people of Germany. Do you believe in Paris 1948 and the Universal Declaration of Human Rights as one of the fundamental principles of the founding of the United Nations? We, the peoples of the United. Do you believe in it or not? Because if you do, this is complete bullshit. You have to declare Israel a pariah state until such time as it observes basic principles of human rights. So, for instance, talking of all the land between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean Sea, there I said it. Mark Lamont Hill has been out of a job ever since he said it.
Right.
But since blah, 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 that is an absolutely fundamental requirement of anyone ever speaking to you again. And certainly we're not going to play football with you. And I get used to the idea. You are a pariah state. You have to. I know there are a lot of states that don't observe human rights and pretend to. I live in one of them. The United States of America is a perfect example of such a state. But that's why it's so great that you've started that petition and people are beginning to take notice and that I get my day in court. And I'll be very interested to see on Friday what the Frankfurters have to say about it.
Yeah.
I'm really interested. I've no idea which way they're going to jump. But I think if they jump into court, they're going to have a very sticky time.
We're going to have to do a follow-up interview. I just realized this is going to be our part one. Sorry to take up more of your time.
Oh, I look forward to it.
We're going to have to react to the Friday news.